Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do a holographic acrylic keychain using a Waterslide decal. I've pre-made the Waterslide decal. If you want to see a video on that, please let me know. I've used a 2-inch acrylic blank, just a small piece of vinyl, a piece of holographic vinyl that I got off of Amazon. Going to need a little bit of UV resin and the keychain hardware itself. This is my Waterslide decal. This isn't the one I ended up using. This one ended up getting wrecked. Waterslide decals are very delicate, so it never hurts to print two when you do it. And just a little piece of vinyl with, you can't even read it, but it has someone's name on it. It says Tina. And this is a UV resin. It works just as well as any others. And I can't pick anything up with these nails on. Acrylic blanks generally come with some sort of covering on them. There has been some confusion. A few of my acrylic blanks have come with clear coating on them. It's a little bit harder to see what I'm doing. This is one of my older ones, and every once in a while the coating doesn't come off. So frustrating. Be patient. And we're ready to start. I got this holographic vinyl off of Amazon, and I don't generally cut a hole using the Cricut when I do acrylic blanks. I like to use circles because there's so much more you can do with them than getting a pre-cut shaped one. But I don't like having to line up the hole. That way I can decide which way I want my decal, and I find it a lot easier. You also don't have to be as accurate when you're getting the first decal on. Look at that, it's so shiny. This is like my favorite new thing that I've bought in forever. It's just like a no-name. I think I even had to bring it in from the US, from the Amazon US. Like usual, it's really hard to find stuff in Canada. I always have to order it from the US. I used to cut my decals a little bit smaller than my acrylic blank. Then I found if I just cut them the exact same size, you can see there's a little edge there if you don't get it perfect. That's okay. You can use an X-Acto knife. I find a good way is to use the X-Acto knife for anything that's really not fitting properly or on there right, or just use a little bit of a nail file. You can use sandpaper. I have nail files around and I just sand it off. Sand it on a bit of an angle, a 45-degree angle, so that it can seal in really nicely with the resin, and it works really, really well. Just make sure you clean it off really well before you add the resin to it so there's no residual bits, no sand, I guess, the grinding. So it's all done, and we're just going to cut the hole out. This is what I do instead of cutting the hole with the Cricut when I cut the original decal. A sharp X-Acto knife, really easy. So I want the other side to have the name in the decal, so that the name in the Waterslide decal, so that you can see the holographic over top of the name. So I've actually cut the name in mirror. That'll come up. So just on the back side now, we're just adding a little bit of resin. Don't go too stingy on the resin. You want there to be a nice dome effect. I got these little Q-tips off of Amazon. They're good for everything. I think I use them all the time. They're quite useful. Just spreading the resin around. Make sure you get right to the edges and around the hole. I have plugged the holes of these before. Super frustrating. Once you're happy with the amount of resin, make sure you have that nice little dome shape. The resin will shrink up a bit, so you want to make sure you're using enough of it. And then I'm going to blast it for a second with a butane torch. You can't actually see it because I have to hold it off camera for the angle, But I'm just bursting any bubbles, any residual bubbles that are in that resin with that butane torch. And there goes my UV lamp, and I'm going to set this for about 3 minutes. I'm just going to keep turning it on and on and on. I've had some questions about what happens if you can't get your resin to stop being tacky. Sometimes if it's being really stubborn, if my weather outside is not cooperating, I will put them in the window, and usually about 10 minutes in real UV sunlight, and they're hard as a rock. You can see how shiny this stuff is. Really, I'm like really obsessed with it. I'm trying to figure out how many more things I can make with it. It's in some lights it's perfectly clear, and then under these bright lights I use for filming, it's just straight rainbow holographic effect. So on the opposite side that we did the resin on, I'm going to just pop my water slide in water so it can soak for a few minutes. And I'm going to add the name, which I have cut in mirror so that it shows through. You can almost see it. This is just regular Cricut permanent vinyl, nothing fancy. And this is my, again, with the world's worst transfer tape. I'll never buy this brand again. I think it's Oracal, and it is not sticky. It's really difficult. I can barely get the vinyl to stick to it. Just place that right in the middle. And give it a quick burnishing. You can see when you turn it around, you get the holographic right over top of the white decal. Me and Waterslide decals have a love-hate relationship. I think they look really neat and they really have their purpose. I'm not very good at them. So some people apply them and then try to slide out the decal from underneath. I cannot do that. If I'm printing words or a design of any sort, I print it backwards so that I can just place it on and pull it off. I've had so many ripped water slides. I'm a little bit weary of using them at this point, but I have found that if I print them backwards, in this case it doesn't matter which way I print it because of the design, but if it's a word or a name, I print them backwards and then just apply them. All right, let's get the backing of this Waterslide decal off. And once the backing is off, the water slides are still quite movable. So just move it into the position that you like. I just put a bit of water on my finger to help smooth it all out and make sure there's no bubbles. There we go. Just going to absorb some of the water. See, it's still quite movable. All right, let's just get that little bit of the excess water out. And now I'm going to let it sit and dry. All right, here we go. It's all dry. You can see how sparkly it is. Yay, sparkly. And again, I'm going to cut that little notch out. Be careful, the Waterslide decals are like tissue paper thin. They're nice sharp X-Acto knife though and you won't have a problem. Get my favorite UV resin out. This stuff is just overall useful. And my itty bitty Q-tips. Now again, we'll just work it all the way out to the edge. You kind of get used to how much resin you need. Don't be afraid of adding a little bit more. I generally add it into the middle so that it can dissipate out. Sometimes I'll put the light, sometimes you'll see it. I put the light over top, unplugged, and that will let me see if there's any spots missing, especially on bigger items. And it lets you see any shadows or divots showing missing resin spots or spots where it needs to level out a little bit more. You might need to add a little bit more. Just going to hit that with the heat gun. You can't see it because I have to hold it outside of the camera edge. And then we'll hit that for another 4 minutes. And there we go, all done. One super shiny holographic water slide decal. The reason I like the water slide is because you can see the holographic right through it. And we'll just add the keychain hardware and we're all done. I don't know why this was a real struggle this time. I got this little ring off of Amazon. It helps open jump rings. I did find out not to go too cheap on jump rings. You want to get a good jump ring, or else they just kind of open with use. And just a little tassel for decoration. Well, thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. If you liked what you see, please like and subscribe to the channel. And if there's anything you'd like to see me try, especially with these acrylic blanks, I've got a whole bucket of them. And we'll keep experimenting and keep going. Thanks again for watching.